Canadians who are against all forms of violence that take innocent lives. But this isn't just about freedom of speech. I'd like to remind our leaders that it is your responsibility to maintain civil peace, as well as preserve social harmony by respecting religions, to avoid strife and not fuel conflict in the name of freedom of expression. Obviously, Macron didn't get the memo. This recent campaign to attack and to vilify our prophet, peace be upon him, has taken Islamophobia to a new level. And we stand firmly against the attack on Islam and our prophet, peace be upon him. We're also standing against the discrimination and marginalization of the Muslim community in France, and we strongly condemn the senseless murders in France. There is nothing that justifies such murder and violence, and freedom of expression is not freedom when Muslims are oppressed. The oppression of one group is a precedent for the easy oppression of other groups, and before we know it, state-sponsored hate against any group in all of its forms of violence, all citizens end up suffering. And recognize that this is not far from home, as nation leaders are now engaged in this dialogue, including Canadian politicians. Prime Minister Trudeau recently, in his response to Emmanuel Macron's statements, maintains that terrorism or not, we must continue to be able to character our prophet. And our Prime Minister said he would always defend freedom of expression, but it isn't without its limits. In a pluralistic, diverse, respectful society like ours, we must be aware of the impact of our words, of our actions on others, and particularly these communities and populations who are going to experience enormous discrimination. Speech shouldn't injure in an arbitrary or unnecessary manner, and we thank our Prime Minister for those comments. Jagmeet Singh, the NDP leader, argued that freedom to express our thoughts is not the freedom to deliberately create division and hatred. And we also thank him. I'm very concerned, though, with our Conservative leader, Aaron O'Toole's comments. So on the other hand, in his recent video, he said that this was another Islamist attack, another attack on our values and our freedoms, and if France is attacked, then we're all attacked. And here in Canada, we will fight to create a country proud of its principles, its openness, and its freedom of expression. And I asked Aaron O'Toole, what values are those? In Section 319(1) of the Criminal Code, it makes it an offense to communicate statements in a public space which incite hatred against an identifiable group where it is likely to lead to a breach of the peace. And you can go to jail for up to 2 years for that. So I'd like to remind him that here in Canada, hate speech is not one of the values that we uphold. We are also a society that doesn't uphold violence, and these are Muslim values, and these are Canadian values. And no person who loves Allah, or God in English, and his messenger can be completely unaffected by the insults towards the Prophet, peace be upon him, and how he's been drawn and portrayed and ridiculed, particularly to look. He's been made to look angry, barbaric, violent, and regressive, and we all stand against that. They are trying to say that our beloved Prophet is this way to all Muslims because that means all Muslims are like this. And how do they prove it? They insult him and cause others to come out emotionally and prove this ridiculous portrayal. So responding in a way that allows them to submit to this is problematic, and this is not how the Rasul ﷺ would have dealt with it. So how do we defend him? We don't succumb to anger. If defending your brother is so rewardable in his absence in Islam, imagine defending Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And so we defend him intelligently, intellectually, and with a tempered passion. So who was our Prophet? When I think of the gentleness of the Rasul ﷺ, I remember his neighbor who used to throw garbage on his doorstep. And one day, there was no garbage there. And so what did he do? He went to check on his neighbor to make sure that they were okay because they weren't putting garbage on their step. I don't think any of us would have done that, right? And then that neighbor actually became Muslim, subhanAllah. So for us, it's very important that we defend our Prophet, peace be upon him, like I said, intelligently, intellectually, and with a tempered passion. And so when I also think of the sayings of the Prophet, peace be upon him, we need to embody that as Muslims. Because this is who he was. And he said, whoever believes in God on the day of judgment should speak what is good or keep quiet. all know the many sayings of the Rasul alayhi salam. Show mercy to those who are on earth, and the one who is above in the heavens will show mercy to you. Whoever is deprived of gentleness is indeed deprived of all goodness. Do not regard any act of kindness as insignificant. And I'm proud that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is my prophet, and that I'm a Muslim and I defend him today. So what is the practical application of this? What can you do? One is you're here at the rally. And there will be rallies all across the country, inshallah, to show our defense of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. But we have to embody his spirit and his sunnah. Parents, you have to teach your children who the Prophet, peace be upon him, was. And you as kids and all of us as adults have to live and model that behavior. We have to write to our MPs and to our politicians and show them that we are not with this and we are against it and we don't stand for this. And don't forget that our Muslim brothers and sisters in Quebec are also being marginalized, and we have to stand with them. So it's not just happening in France, because what happens in France is also affected in Canada. And the biggest thing too is economic sanctions, and we've seen that start to work, right? So we've seen a lot of people boycotting French products. Muslim countries, I'd like to commend the President Prime Minister of Pakistan today, stopping a deal with them. I think it was like $1 billion deal, which is amazing. And so the French government is also starting to feel those economic sanctions. And that's the least that we can do. And when someone says something that is wrong against our Prophet, peace be upon him, we stand up and we speak. Jazakallah khair.
Who do we love? Who do we love? Who do we love? Who do we love? What do we ask for? What do we ask for? Respect. What do we ask for? Respect. Assalamualaikum. All right, up next, Jazakallah Sister Rania for that wonderful reminder. Again, one more reminder for maintain social distance, physical distancing, please. I'm going to ask our next speaker to come up.